Version 2.2 brings two new 5-star characters, one of which is going to be a character that is just simply ahead of their time, and that is Aero Rover. The third element for Rover to use, and this one is quite unique. The thing about their kit though, is how lackluster and lacking it is, despite it being one of the coolest kits that I've had the opportunity to review. Now, before you try to slay me with a Getsuga Tensho, let me explain. Aero Rover is a character that is being released way ahead of her time, perhaps 1 to 2 versions ahead. While every Rover so far has had a good impact on the meta, will Aero Rover mark a turn in the power and tuning of their future characters? My name is Void Enigma, and we'll be diving into Aero Rover, and why her misunderstood power will be a contested topic for the next 2 to 3 months. This won't be a full-on guide, but instead a discussion on how Kuro Games has decided to implement this character. If you're enjoying the content so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video. Without further ado, let's hop right into it. So what's wrong with Aero Rover? Well, let's talk briefly about their kit. Firstly, they're a healer, which is great. They get a free 5-star weapon, which is fantastic. But the problem is, well, let me break it down for you. Firstly, Aero Rover is a character that actually converts existing debuffs into Aero Erosion. They also double as a competent healer, and thanks to their signature weapon, they are able to buff other Aero characters, which is absolutely stunning. We'll discuss more about that later. So Aero Rover does damage, converts existing debuffs into Aero Erosion, which stacks up to 3 by the way, and they heal. But are you noticing an issue here? They convert Aero Erosion. They don't inflict Aero Erosion. In fact, they inflict 0 Aero Erosion. Yeah, 0. That means that if she isn't paired with a character that actually inflicts debuff, half of their kit is immediately useless. And to make things worse, there's only 2 characters in the game that actually inflict debuffs, and that's going to be Pheobe, and guess who else? The same character that we are reviewing, Rover. It's already a bad sign when you have a character that actually has no distinct role and they can't even complete that role by themselves, because by herself, all she is just an aerial healer, and that's it. That's not really helping the team do anything more. So does that mean that she's tied to a character like Pheobe? Well, no, she's actually a terrible partner for Pheobe. Pheobe wants characters to inflict a ton of Spectro Frazzle, and Aero Rover works in counter to that by taking all the stacks of Spectro Frazzle and turning it into 3 stacks of Aero Erosion. On the upside of this, her outro does have a unique effect of actually increasing the cap of Aero Erosion from 3 to 6 when you actually outro with our MC, but there lies the next issue. The maximum value of the stacks is increased, but the current number of stacks, being 3, doesn't go up. So in order to get maximum stacks at Aero Erosion when this character is actually released, we're going to have to do quite a few things. Firstly, you'll use Pheobe in confession mode to get like 4 to 5 stacks of Spectro Frazzle. Then you need to use Aero Rover's presence and a resonant skill to grant some Aero Erosion by taking all of the Frazzle away and giving some Aero Erosion, being 3, and then eventually trigger an outro buff. Then, Pheobe needs to apply more Spectro Frazzle stacks, then back to Aero Rover to convert that Spectro Frazzle into more Aero Erosion, finally letting you get 6 stacks, and then you go back to Pheobe to apply more Spectro Frazzle, and with this, you finally set up Aero Erosion alongside Spectro Frazzle. You should have about 6 stacks of Aero Erosion, and however many stacks of Spectro Frazzle that you apply. Tons of damage over time, right? Amazing, but you know what's better? Simply using Spectro Rover to apply a whole bunch of Spectro Frazzle and going to town with Pheobe and just kill the monster. To make matters worse, Aero Erosion removes all stacks of Spectro Frazzle, as I said before, so you have to start from 0 to stack up all of the Spectro Frazzle when you get back to Pheobe, and then, when you actually remove it again every single time she uses her resonant skill, you gotta stack it again. It's more tedious gameplay rather than an engaging conquest. On the brighter side, the saving grace for this character is the amazing signature weapon, which is free. It increases the arrow damage of all characters by 10% for 30 seconds when the user casts the resonant skill, and by user, I mean only one user because it only works with Aero Rover. This is amazing in its own right, as it functions as an outro buff similar to characters like Verena and Shorekeeper, but the immediate downside to this is that Verena or Shorekeeper will always have significantly better team-wide buffs. Verena and Shorekeeper already have an outro that gives 15% damage app, so that already goes over the Aero Rover's buff to only aerial damage. On top of that, they provide more buffs throughout their entire kit, so if you lack either Verena or Shorekeeper, then sure, she's a great option to use on the other team, alongside Aero main damage dealers like Alto and Gion mains, but otherwise, kinda not that great an option. However, there is good news. Refinements exist. I hope that you're able to get the refinements on these weapons pretty quickly, because that's going to bring the damage amplification up to 26%, and that is definitely worth using in an Aero only team, in a mono Aero team. Hopefully, the refinements are easy to get. And they're also a great healer, so that's another plus. Aero Rover is simply way ahead of their time. Their kit is probably geared towards a future character, and that is when they can truly shine. Sadly, those future characters are far away for now, but we do know one thing, is that Aero Erosion should have just been called Erosion. Erosion. That would have been really cool. And also, Aero Erosion will be a leading aspect of one of these characters. Who? We don't know yet, but surely we will find out in the future update, and it may even be both of the future characters. Another potential team is a character who can actually apply debuffs off-field. It's really off-putting that she deletes the buff entirely, especially when the erosion stacks only go up to 3, and the maximum stacks of many other debuffs are around 10. Nonetheless, potential Rover will see the light of day, eventually. Their kit and gameplay is cool as shit, and they will be really fun to use in the overworld, but taking them into any resemblance of endgame at that current state is not going to be that suitable. We have 2 future potential characters to meet potential Rover, and they'll be able to fuel her kit immensely. Well, probably. And I'm really excited to see how they'll play out, but until then, we just gotta wait and see. Either way, another free 5-star along with a 5-star weapon. Surely this will appease us in the meantime. Even if their gameplay is super underwhelming, for overworld exploration of the new region, this is definitely a great character to use. The damage isn't anything significant, but it will be somewhat passable, especially for a support. So how do you guys feel about this though? Should they have released Aero Rover later, when they could actually be useful, or is it better to release them early so we can lament in a half-baked character until the new big girls arrive? Let me know down in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for watching. I've got a Cantarella guide coming soon for you, so stay tuned for that. Until next time, Enigma out.